Most people think health is built by what they add: more nutrients, more meals, more energy. But deep inside you, another truth has been quietly shaping your survival since the beginning. Your body stays alive not only by feeding, but by knowing when to clean itself from within. This inner cleansing is not poetic exaggeration. It is a literal biological process called autophagy. Autophagy is your cell's way of breaking down damaged parts before those parts become dangerous. In 2016, Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize for revealing how this hidden system truly works. His research showed that lysosomes function like microscopic cleanup crews, dissolving cellular debris with precision. Harvard scientists often describe these lysosomes as cellular recyclers, turning waste into essential building blocks. Without them, broken proteins and faulty mitochondria accumulate, accelerating aging and disease progression. This means renewal depends not on constant growth, but the willingness of your cells to dismantle the old. It is nature's way of keeping you functional, adaptable, and prepared for the next challenge. But here comes the paradox that feels almost uncomfortable at first glance. Autophagy awakens not when you eat, but when you stop eating long enough for silence inside. As nutrients decline, your metabolism shifts from building to repairing, from expansion to essential maintenance. NIH researchers call this transition a survival recalibration, the moment your biology chooses refinement over consumption. Your ancestors entered this state naturally through long nights, empty seasons, and unpredictable access to food. You, however, live in constant abundance, feeding rhythms that keep autophagy muted and half asleep. Every snack delays renewal. Every late meal postpones the internal reset your cells quietly request. This is why modern inflammation, fatigue, and metabolic stress often feel strangely persistent and unexplainable. Your body is waiting for the pause it rarely receives in a world of endless meals. When the pause finally arrives, something remarkable begins beneath the surface of your awareness. Damaged components are broken down, misfolded proteins removed, and aging pathways slowed from within. That silent transformation is why scientists link fasting to resilience, longevity, and sharper metabolic stability. And as you move through this journey, you will discover when this transformation actually begins. As your body enters this quieter internal rhythm, another layer of control begins revealing its influence. Deep within every cell, two ancient forces negotiate the direction your metabolism should follow next. One force pushes your body toward growth, expansion, and building new structures from incoming nutrients. This force is mTOR, a molecular pathway that thrives when food is abundant and energy is plentiful. Researchers from Harvard describe mTOR as the growth switch because it responds instantly to feeding. Whenever you eat, mTOR interprets nutrients as a signal that conditions are safe for expansion. It encourages cells to divide, repair tissue damage, and build new proteins with remarkable intensity. This is essential for healing and development, yet harmful when activated without meaningful rest. Modern eating patterns keep mTOR active for much longer than nature originally designed. Frequent snacks, late-night meals, and constant grazing create a continuous message to keep building. But growth without pause creates an imbalance, leaving little room for deeper maintenance processes. Your cells cannot perform restoration when they are constantly occupied with digesting and storing nutrients. This is where AMPK emerges, carrying a message completely opposite to the voice of mTOR. AMPK activates when energy dips, signaling that it is time to conserve and repair internally. Scientists refer to AMPK as the low-fuel sensor, guiding your cells into efficiency and renewal. Unlike mTOR, AMPK thrives in moments of emptiness, silence, and metabolic stillness between meals. When AMPK rises, the body shifts its priority away from expansion and toward internal housekeeping. This shift creates conditions that allow autophagy to strengthen and sweep through your cells. Both pathways are essential, yet they cannot dominate at the same time, creating a natural push and pull. And the key deciding which pathway leads is not just food, but a single powerful hormone. Insulin rises each time you eat, directing cells to absorb nutrients and store energy immediately. High insulin keeps mTOR active, forcing your body to remain in growth mode longer than necessary. Only when insulin falls does AMPK gain influence and encourage your cells to begin internal repair. This explains why long stretches between meals can feel surprisingly restorative on a metabolic level. Your biology is simply shifting from accumulation to refinement, from activity to internal organization. The more insulin settles, the more AMPK and autophagy finally find space to do their work. And as this hormonal balance tilts, something even more interesting begins unfolding in the hours ahead. Before we continue, if you've been enjoying this video so far, leave a comment with 1 so I know this content is valuable to you. And so we can keep creating meaningful videos that you won't want to miss. Once insulin begins to fall and the metabolic balance shifts, your body enters a new countdown. This countdown determines when autophagy moves from quiet preparation to noticeable biological activity. Most people believe this shift begins the moment they feel hungry in the morning. But hunger is not the signal. It is only the first knock on the door of deeper changes. Inside your body, the early hours of fasting follow a very predictable order shaped by evolution. During the first 12 hours, your cells continue using glucose from your previous meals. This phase feels ordinary because your body relies on stored sugar without much resistance or struggle. Scientists note that glycogen, your liver's backup battery, powers most of your early fasting hours. Only when this battery drains does your metabolism begin preparing for its next transformation. Around 12 to 16 hours, the liver senses that glucose is running low and shifts tactics. It begins producing small amounts of ketones, signals that energy is now coming from stored fat. This moment marks the first gentle rise of metabolic flexibility returning to your bloodstream. Yet, autophagy remains minimal here, because your body is still transitioning between fuel systems. Many people assume this stage is the peak, but scientifically, it is only the doorway to deeper repair. True cellular cleanup strengthens only after your body fully commits to burning fat as primary fuel. For most adults, this commitment arrives closer to 24 hours without new calories. By this point, glycogen is low enough for your cells to shift entirely toward fat-derived energy. Ketones rise noticeably, providing a steadier and cleaner fuel to your brain and muscles. Researchers from the University of Chicago describe this stage as the metabolic handover point. And during this handover, autophagy finally begins working with greater confidence and intensity. Damaged proteins are tagged for removal, dysfunctional mitochondria are broken down, and debris is recycled. This wave of repair explains why many people report mental clarity or surprising lightness after extended fasting. It is not willpower producing that clarity, it is your biology reorganizing itself from the inside. Still, peak autophagy rarely occurs before the 24 to 48-hour window in most individuals. Every hour beyond this range deepens the cleanup, restoring pathways rarely touched in modern eating patterns. This timeline is not a punishment. It is your body rediscovering the rhythm your ancestors depended on. When autophagy intensifies, your body begins repairing itself in ways you may never have imagined. This phase feels different because the changes reach deeper layers of your biology and your awareness. You might notice sharper thinking or a sudden calm rising beneath your usual daily noise. Have you ever felt that strange clarity after skipping meals longer than you intended? If you have, your cells were already whispering their first signs of internal renewal. Inside your tissues, senescent cells begin disappearing as your body finally targets them for removal. These cells are often called zombie cells because they linger without contributing anything useful. They release inflammatory chemicals that stiffen joints, dull cognition, and accelerate visible aging, Autophagy identifies these dysfunctional cells and recycles them before they create further metabolic damage. Scientists at the University of Southern California documented this regeneration during controlled fasting cycles. Their findings showed immune cells breaking down and returning stronger once normal eating resumed afterward. This demonstrates fasting's ability to refresh essential systems that often decline quietly with age. Your brain participates too, responding to fasting by increasing a molecule called BDNF dramatically. BDNF supports memory, learning, emotional steadiness, and the growth of stronger neural connections. Have you ever wondered why extended fasting sometimes brings an unexpected feeling of mental brightness? It is not imagination, but neurons operating with cleaner fuel and less oxidative stress inside them. Inflammation in your body also begins dropping as damaged cellular components are steadily cleared away. Some people notice their skin calming, bloating reducing, or joints feeling surprisingly lighter. These shifts are your biology rebalancing itself without the constant interruptions of frequent meals. At this stage, many people feel a mix of curiosity and quiet amazement about their internal changes. So let me ask you directly, what does your body usually signal first during deeper fasting? Is it clearer thinking, reduced swelling, a calmer mood, or simply lighter energy through the morning? Your answer may reveal where your metabolism struggles most and where repair begins most eagerly. These personal signals matter because fasting interacts differently with each person's unique cellular environment. Recognizing your own pattern helps you understand how deeply autophagy is working beneath the surface. And the deeper this renewal goes, the more essential it becomes to understand fasting's safety boundaries. As the benefits of autophagy deepen, your body also enters a more delicate metabolic landscape. Fasting shifts many systems toward efficiency, but it also reduces your margin for physiological error. One of the first vulnerabilities is the rise of cortisol, the hormone that governs stress responses. During prolonged fasting, cortisol naturally increases to mobilize stored energy for essential functions. Researchers from Mayo Clinic note that excessive cortisol can redirect energy away from repair pathways. When this occurs, autophagy weakens, and the body begins prioritizing short-term survival over restoration. Another concern involves gluconeogenesis, the creation of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. When fasting extends too long, the body may begin converting amino acids into glucose for critical tissues. These amino acids often come from muscle proteins, which are vital for strength and metabolic health. NIH studies show that excessive fasting without adequate planning increases the risk of muscle breakdown. Although moderate fasting protects muscle through growth hormone, extended fasting can overwhelm this protection. Electrolyte imbalance is a further complication, especially during fasts exceeding 24 hours. As insulin remains low, the kidneys excrete more sodium, water, and essential minerals from circulation. Without intentional electrolyte intake, blood pressure may drop and heart rhythm can become unstable. Symptoms like dizziness, cramps, or palpitations often reflect these shifts, rather than hunger itself. Magnesium, potassium, and sodium play critical roles in nerve conduction and muscular coordination. When depleted, even simple movements can feel strained and mentally exhausting for the fasting individual. Hydration alone cannot correct these losses, because water requires minerals to maintain cellular balance. Certain groups remain more sensitive to fasting-related stress and should approach it cautiously. People with gout face higher uric acid levels during fasting, which may trigger painful flare-ups. Women with sensitive reproductive hormones can experience disruptions due to changes in energy availability. Individuals with diabetes, adrenal issues, or past eating disorders carry additional physiological risks. Harvard Medical School emphasizes that fasting is a therapeutic tool, but not inherently suitable for everyone. The goal is not to push the body into extremes, but to respect the boundaries that protect long-term health. Understanding these risks allows fasting to remain a safe metabolic reset rather than a harmful stressor. Once fasting reaches this fragile threshold, your body prepares to return from repair to nourishment. This transition is just as important as the fast itself, because renewal requires fuel to rebuild. Refeeding wakes sleeping pathways, allowing fresh nutrients to expand the benefits created during autophagy. But the deeper lesson of fasting is not endurance, discipline, or pushing yourself to uncomfortable extremes. It is understanding how your biology alternates between two necessary states, growth and restoration. Autophagy belongs to the restoration phase, the quiet interval your cells need to reorganize themselves. The question many people hold is simple yet profound. How long must you fast for this to begin? Cellular studies show light autophagy emerging around 14 to 16 hours in many individuals. This early phase reflects mild cleanup, more preparation than deep structural renewal. Stronger autophagy usually appears after 24 hours when glycogen becomes noticeably depleted. Beyond this point, cells depend more heavily on fat energy, allowing repair pathways to strengthen further. Peak autophagy, based on current evidence, often emerges between 24 and 48 hours. This is the interval where damaged proteins, broken mitochondria, and senescent cells face true clearance. Yet each body reaches this window differently, depending on metabolism, lifestyle, and hormonal history. Some individuals feel these shifts earlier due to efficient fat adaptation, while others require longer fasting. The intention is not to chase the longest number, but to understand your body's personal threshold. Fasting becomes therapeutic when it respects physiology, not when it ignores biological individuality. The real gift of autophagy lies in its rhythm, not its intensity or its duration. You activate it by allowing space between meals, not starving yourself into exhaustion or imbalance. Even daily gaps of 12 to 16 hours strengthen metabolic flexibility, preparing deeper renewal later. Longer fasts, practiced intelligently and infrequently, can unlock the more powerful layers of repair. This approach mirrors your ancestral pattern, alternating between feasting and fasting in natural cycles. When understood this way, fasting stops being a challenge and becomes a dialogue with your own biology. And through this dialogue, you learn the true answer to the question behind this entire journey. You do not need extreme deprivation to awaken autophagy, only consistent space for your body to recalibrate. The right fasting length is the one that activates renewal without sacrificing balance or long-term health. And this understanding gives you the freedom to use fasting not as a test, but as a tool for clarity. I hope this video brought value to you, and I'll see you in the next one.